Today's episode is sponsored by Sandals Resorts. What's up, Chillas? We got Adrienne Gardner back with us. Last time she was on, she gave us all of the unsexy details about venues and all the red flags that you need to be aware of. And today, you have a lot more information to share with us when it comes to commissions, referrals, tipping, which I know we all get really confused on. And you have a lot of pretty badass stories to share with us of your time in the business.
So many. But yeah, thanks for having me back on. I always love coming on the show. So happy to be here.
Yeah. So let's kind of get into some of the nitty gritty first. And let's talk about referrals and commissions, because this is something I think when planning a wedding and event, it's not obviously top of mind, and it kind of sneaks up on you, and then it can be very confusing. So what's the first thing we need to consider when it comes to referrals and commissions?
Well, I think what I want, hopefully, everybody to walk away with is that referrals, commissions, finder's fees, etc., are not a wedding industry thing. It's a business thing. It's so common and so prevalent pretty much everywhere you go. So number one, get comfortable with it. And a big golden rule for anybody, any vendors exchanging commissions or referrals or finder's fees is if you weren't going to refer that person, if you weren't going to do business with that person, then you shouldn't do it regardless if there's any sort of money to change hands. So that's kind of ethically where we have to start. But real estate agents, healthcare providers, like if you guys go to a specialist and you don't think money's transacting behind the scenes, I'll break that to you right now. It is. Anytime, if you refer a small business and they give you a discount, maybe they give you a $50 gift card, like, yes, you referred them out of goodwill, which is wonderful, but they're also showing appreciation. They want to incentivize you to do it again and again and again. So they're going to give you that discount. They're going to give you that finder's fee or that $50. So, in the bigger picture, again, the wedding industry, the event industry is pretty much just doing the same thing. It's just sometimes I think when a couple or somebody planning an event finds out that this happens, they're like, oh, wait, what? It's like, but it's very normal. And again, that ethical rule of if you weren't going to refer them, don't do it. Doesn't matter if you're getting paid. So that's the start.
Is part of this, because like the first thing I think of when I think of referrals is when you go to tour a venue and they say we only work with these exclusive vendors. Usually it's a caterer, but they have other ones as well, depending on the venue. Is that part of this whole deal?
It can be. So not all lists are the same, right? So yes, some lists, vendors, whether that's a caterer or a photographer or a planner, yes, some of them, they will pay to be on. So a venue might build like a vendor program, if you will. So maybe, they charge them a flat fee per year, potentially. So there's a few different ways. They might charge them a flat fee. And in return, maybe they get to go to a bridal show for free. Maybe they get some sort of incentive. The venue wants to help them book more business. So they do that. But again, normally the venue is vetting if they're a quality professional. Do they know my property? Do they carry all their insurances? Do they have all the things ducks in a row in order to come on my list? So that's one way that can happen. And then another way is that, yes, a venue or a vendor might take a percentage of a job. So let's say client comes in, I like whole numbers for examples because I didn't study enough math in school, hence why I'm in events. But so let's say, it's $10,000 bill, right? That venue might have a deal in place where 10% of that goes back to the venue. So yes, there is kind of a couple of different ways. And there can be vendor lists that have no financial obligation as well. Like it could just be, here's my list. I don't want anything. So again, they're all very different. And I would say anybody who's doing things correctly and ethically should have no problem explaining this to you guys.
Right.
So if you ever said like, hey, so the people on this list, like, why are they on there? How did they get here? you should feel confident in asking that question. And again, anybody who's very transparent and about how they do things, like they're not going to sweat it. But if they start sweating and, you can,
I'll get back
trust your
to you
gut.
on that. I'll get back to
Yeah,
yeah.
trust your gut on that reaction. But, I would definitely encourage you to ask that question if you have that concern.
I have
Yeah.
a few things with this. So the first one is with, some venues have said exclusive only, like they will only work with these X amount of people. And then others say preferred vendors. If it's a preferred vendor list, 9 times out of 10, can you normally just go with still whoever you want? This is just who they have as referrals, basically. Is that like a referral sign if it says preferred?
Yeah, correct. So normally, yeah, a preferred list is like a highly suggested list, is how I would normally frame that. Like, hey, these are like photographers that have been to my property a lot, or these are ones that I believe match the price point of the couples that get married here. So, there's a lot of, if a venue is doing a good job of hopefully trying to, steer their clients and make their planning easier, then they'll do that as well. They'll kind of vet based on budget. But yeah, normally it's just a suggestion. Doesn't mean you have to use it. But yes, to answer your question, if it's an exclusive vendor, normally, yes, you do have to use that list. But again, a lot of times you should ask your venue, like, if they don't have exactly what I need, or I want some sort of different sort of traditional food, like what are my options? Like normally they will let you go off of that list if what you're looking for is not being fulfilled.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
what if you like the venue or the vendor you're working with, but their referral is someone that you end up not jiving with, you're not cool with, like, and you might feel obligated to go with them because they are being referred by someone you
Sure.
like. So how do you deal with an
Mm.
uncomfortable situation like that if it comes your way?
Right. So when I did planning and I was, when I would refer, like a bank of photographers to a couple, I was always looking for feedback too if you didn't like somebody. Because sometimes businesses change. You might, I might refer a big photography company and, they might bring on some new people that I don't know exactly as well as I knew this other group, these other ones a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I would say number one, give that feedback back to whoever made that referral. And of course, don't ever feel obligated to book anybody. I would say, like it's not uh there those referrals are there to hopefully help you move a little faster, maybe make you help you save a little money, maybe. Um, and but again, make the decision that you feel is right and your gut tells you. If you're like, I had a terrible call with this person, then just be like, "Hey, planner, do you have any other suggestions? Because this guy wasn't my jam."
So you saying this, what if a family member or friend is referring their friend or family member, like, hey, they bake cakes, or hey, they shoot photography on the side, but they're not like one of the bigger companies in town. Obviously they're just
Sure.
independent doing it.
Yeah.
It's another form of referral. So, like, how do you help people navigate this, especially if they're trying to budget and save a lot of money?
Yeah. So I would say, if you have like a family friend, yeah, they refer maybe their photographer. Like number one, did you like the work? Did it look nice? Like if you I'm sure you saw their photos on Instagram,
Yeah.
right? If you
Yeah.
liked it, great. Secondarily, if you are kind of looking for maybe a little bit more information on that person, maybe they're new. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with new vendors because most vendors, everyone started new at some point.
I know, and that's such a hot
And
topic because some people are like, "Don't go with someone new," and it's like,
I think you have to give people a chance, but also like let them kind of prove it to you. So normally, at least they have a couple of referrals, or references. Excuse me. So when I started off as planning, and I was still building up my referral base and my clientele, like after I did a couple of brides, I was like, hey, so can I list you as a reference? I'm still building up here. Is that something that you'd be willing to do? So then, when I was still building up my rep, I could use a handful of these previous clients and say, that you could call, or drop a quick email to and be like, hey, how was working with Adrienne? So, there's definite ways that vendors can help themselves as they're newer. But I would definitely say, again, I think maybe that's a I'm a sensitive soul in that way, that I do feel like everyone's got to start somewhere. So if they're able to kind of back it up and you have a good vibe and, all their ducks are in a row, like I would not hesitate to book a new vendor.
And there's obvious red flags. Like we talked about it. We did our Bridechilla live at the Elliott event, and Brandy, the wedding planner, said her red flag with the newbies, or just even if they've been trying to do it for a while, is if they have an AOL email.
Yeah.
And like really weird, like fonting and lettering and
like. Yeah, I would say, yeah. And I mean, yes, listen to those sort of things. And yes, have they taken the time to make this an actual business?
Yeah.
Or is this just like a hobby, like side hustle for them? Yeah, absolutely. They got that AOL. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
don't tell my mom. My mom still has an AOL.
Mine does too. I think I still technically have one. I couldn't tell you the login because it's been
no idea.
No idea.
Lost long ago.
Something you said earlier, I forgot what it was, but it made me think of something we haven't really talked about on here is the wedding tax. Is that really a thing, or is that something that's just been put out in the media because prices seem higher for weddings than other events?
I mean, in my opinion, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So
tell us.
In all the events I've done and the venues I've managed, it's like, okay, so I care about a few specific things when it comes to how I price things. When you want to use my property, for how long you want to use my property, what time of year, is it peak season? Yes, all of those things. But as far as if you're having a wedding, a corporate event, a gala, like, I mean, to me, I never charged anything differently.
Yeah.
I think the mass majority of vendors do not. It's about the amount of time on site. It's about those sort of things. I think planners are a little bit different with the level of planning that they support. That can be unbelievably different. But when it comes to things like, a caterer and those sort of things, no, those are pretty much like chicken to chicken.
Yeah.
So I do think there's some, of course, myths out there but yes, of course, just events in general are very expensive because you have so many service elements involved. You have so much equipment, you might have 10 catering staff on site. Like, so yes, all of that is you are feeding 200 people. So yes, of course, all those things are going to ratchet up that bill unbelievably quickly. And yeah, a lot of times you might see maybe on some vendors is a service fee, administrative fee. Sometimes I've heard like people think like that's where we hide the wedding tax.
Oh,
I was like, no, that's where we hide things like workman's comp. That's where a lot of those other things, for the pre-sale, prepping your event, those sort of things, like the time that it takes to do those sort of elements. That's where that kind of stuff comes in, the operating expenses potentially of a business in that service fee. It's not, I guess, negatively impacting somebody for having a wedding. But I could be nuts. Maybe some vendors are out there doing it. But I've never seen it. I don't think it's a thing.
The thing I hear the most common with that is really comes down to like catering and cakes. Those are the two areas I hear it the most. But to your point, X amount of people, it probably isn't different being a wedding versus an event. And not everyone plans larger scale events that's planning a wedding, right? Like I've had some experience because, I've already been through the wedding process too, but like I was president of the Cleveland Association of Broadcasters for a while. And so we would host a huge event every year. And so every year we'd have to go to the event space and have to figure out the catering and figure out what the bar, minimum or maximum was so we could hit a certain amount. And granted, it was a fundraiser too. So we're trying to like recoup that money too. But to me, like going through that process, it was like, oh, this is not that different than when I went through the wedding process. X amount of people, feed X amount of people, like bar, you still have to have a security on site. If you've never planned an event or wedding before, I could see why this could be really confusing and sticker shock.
Sure, I can totally see that.
If anyone is gouging, then
you kind of suck.
Yeah.
And I would say again, like when you think about something like a wedding cake, right? Versus like a cake maybe you'd order for your birthday, like, I'm sure your wedding cake is likely more extravagant. It's likely got way more detail, way more, time and energy is being put into that design for you. Maybe you want to come in for a tasting. So all of these extra things of course, need to be charged for and compensated for by the business, or else you wouldn't have these wedding vendors to go to.
They're delivering on site. You're not just picking it up like you do at Costco.
These things have to be paid for, right? So, of course, I think on that end, you might be like, okay, this is more, but then compare it to a more simplified project for that vendor. And I think, you can easily understand the difference in the cost.
Is there anything else with referrals, commissions, or quote unquote hidden fees or fees just in general you should consider that couples need to be aware of?
I think that sometimes people are afraid that commissions, referrals, etc., jack up their price. So if my venue is going to take 10% of this, does that mean you're charging me 10% more? So that's normally a concern that I hear fairly regularly. And the answer to that is most of the time, no, that should not impact you. Normally, a small business will chop this up to a cost of doing business, right? And that'll be a part of, my operating expenses and, my marketing budget or however I choose to categorize that. But again, if you are concerned about that, you should ask.
Yeah.
Right? And again, anybody who's, doing things ethically and correctly, again, will have no problem discussing this with you. It doesn't mean we're inflating the price. That's not a thing most often. And again, referrals can be unbelievably great, right? It
Yeah.
saves you time. It saves you money.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are there to help you. So I would focus on that aspect a lot more than, when a DJ refers me, and then I kick him back $50.
Yeah.
That's between me and him, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm
That's
thanking him for that
awesome.
referral.
Yeah. And that's how you grow as a community.
Exactly. So, and I would say a lot of that sort of, funds kind of behind the scenes is also really important to these small businesses. It's normally something also they budget for, they plan for. It's kind of something they need also in order to service your events.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So also too with this, are a lot of these things in the contracts? Because I know people are not crazy about reading their contracts, but I would assume a lot of these details would be placed into it.
So sometimes yes, sometimes no. Because technically this is a relationship that's transpiring, not impacting the client. It should not impact the client. Yes, we might have a clause in there about exclusive vendors. You have to use the exclusive vendors, preferred as a suggestion. But as far as kind of what's transpiring in that relationship, it doesn't, it should not impact the client. So it's not something I see prevalently in contracts. But again, if you wanted to, you could certainly ask.
Communication, communication, communication. Always.
Always. Yeah.
So something that's really confusing when it comes to, especially the wedding day, is tipping.
Sure.
And there's a lot of controversy around it too, because I've heard mixed things from vendors. We haven't really talked about on here. I really love your insight on this.
I have a few, I guess, things about tipping.
Some hot takes.
Well, so yeah, number one, some of it is automatically included. So yes, to your part, read your contracts, understand your invoices. So for example, like some smaller like food vendors that do like food trucks and late night snacks, they will automatically include, a 12% gratuity or something along those lines in your invoice. And that's kind of nice. It's out of your way. It's not something you have to deal with. And then if you think that server that night was just so top notch, by all means, tip it on top if you want, but also rest easy that person is getting that gratuity line item, from your event. My biggest thing I hope, other business owners would like me to debunk for them too, is this myth about not tipping a business owner. So
I'm so confused by it too, because it ranges between like the venue owner and planner to the hairstylist.
Yes. So a solopreneur or somebody that has their own business, it's like, yes, I would say that they deposit all that money, but they have all that expense. So all the products, maybe for a planner, they have to pay out their assistant. They're doing all these things. So it was wild to me when I had a planning company and I had, 5 or 6 people working for me. And I was so excited when they would get gratuity. I thought it was wonderful. And they were like, oh, I had a great night. It was so good. They tipped me out. It was wonderful. I'm like, oh, that's so great. And then I would get tipped out very rarely, very rarely. Even though I get great feedback and, the referrals after the fact, which of course are always appreciated. So I would say, small business owners, a lot of times things are tight. These are, passion businesses for people. They're unbelievably smart and hardworking. I'm sure they could probably make more money doing other things, but they choose to be here with you. So I would say, definitely keep that in mind. Of course, understand, what tipping is included and what's not. I don't think I am always happy when people ask about gratuity for a vendor. We have all these things about like not talking about money, and it's like a taboo thing, but I think it's totally appropriate. Like if you hired a DJ company and you said, you were excited, you booked them over the phone, you say, okay, great. Like, is gratuity included? Like, what do you suggest? Like I tip him, that kind of thing, and they might suggest, 50 or $100 if you think they do a good job. But I kind of categorize, and to kind of keep going, I categorize vendors into like, you got to tip, and then here's like if they do a good job, right? You got to tip, obviously, your bartenders if they're not if you don't have a tip jar out or if that's not included. Your service staff,
Yes.
of course. So any of those service type entities, I always include hair and makeup in that. I include drivers in that.
Yeah, limo driver. Yeah.
And then in the second bucket, you kind of have planners, florists, photographers, videographers, that sort of bucket, right? It's appreciated. It's amazing. I'd like to go into weddings being expensive. I've had plenty of people like, well, I have a tipping suggested guide that I've made, and I send it to couples upon request. I don't say, hey, here's a tipping guide.
Yeah.
But if they say, Adrienne, hey, what do you suggest I tip? What should I do? I have a guide. A lot of times you want to budget for tipping. I highly suggest you make it into your wedding budget. But I get it. It's super expensive. What if you can't? Okay. But what can you do? Can you write a review? Can you refer that person? Is there other things that you can do to support that small business if you had a great experience? So I would encourage you to think about that too. If you're like, I can't do this, I can do this group, but, this is tight over here. What else can you do to support that small business?
Imagine a wedding day where each detail is already taken care of, allowing you to savor every moment. At Sandals, your dream wedding can finally become a reality. From intimate elopements to grand celebrations, Sandals offers customizable packages for every size and style. Plus, everything is included: your accommodations, gourmet dining, premium drinks, and all your wedding services. You get a dedicated wedding planner and an on-site team to manage everything from ceremony to reception. And here's a really sweet deal. Stay 7 nights or longer in a club or butler-level room, and you'll receive their Sweetheart Wedding Package, completely on them. That means your ceremony, decor, and even a delicious 2-tier wedding cake. For those of you who really want to be sure, you can even test drive your wedding experience before you book it. Stop dreaming and start planning. Head over to sandals.com today or call 1-877-SANDALS to create your unforgettable wedding experience. You mentioned the buckets in the you need to tip them bucket. So say with the catering staff and all that, what if they already added gratuity to it? Do you still have to tip on top of it?
That's a great question. Yep. So a lot of times the caterers are definitely getting much better about just, here, we're going to just, flat tip, 15% or whatever that is. We're going to run it on your card, making it easy for you. So then for there, that's like above and beyond, right? So then you shouldn't feel like you have to. But again, if you felt like, they were really, really great, or, you thought the captain was just hustling so hard and you want to, slap them an extra $50, of course, they're going to appreciate it so much. But no, exactly. If it's included, don't feel like you have to. It's just that above and beyond.
I'm glad you mentioned the other ways you can show your gratitude also. Because gratitude's a big thing with me. It's like one of my favorite words. But showing gratitude by the reviews and all that, which again kind of goes back to referrals in a sense too, because people are going to go online and look at all that.
Totally. I mean, I'll tell you some of like the best. It's like, when I've had a couple get up and give a thank you and they shout me out and they're like, thank you to this venue. Adrienne's amazing. Thank you to my planner. Adrienne's amazing. And then all these people in this room are going to get engaged at some point. You know what I mean? And so like that kind of thing goes so far. And, I think sometimes the couples, it's like a quick little thing. But when we get those sort of accolades, like that translates financially to us in a big way sometimes.
So I am so glad you said this because I had a certain family member when I got married. I appreciate what everyone does in the industry. And so in my thank you speech, I shouted out the planner, the venue, and a few other vendors. And later on, they thanked me and said, I didn't expect that, but whatever, right? But this family member was like, I thought that was so weird and tacky, and I can't believe you did that. Gave me such shit for doing it.
How funny.
Yeah. And to your point, there's other people, I think there were 5 couples at my wedding that went on to get engaged and get married. And only one other one's divorced right now. So besides me. But a lot of them used different vendors, either the photo booth or the photographer or like whatever it was, they ended up using it because they were so impressed. So thank you for making me feel validated after it's been 6 or 7 years. But thank you.
And I bet you don't talk to her. So who cares? Sorry. But I mean, you can't make everybody happy. It's just not a thing. And somebody's got to be grumpy about something. And apparently that was her thing. It's
I do still talk to her, but whatever. That's your opinion. You can have it. I thought I was doing a good deed and she made me second guess myself on that. But thank you for making me feel like you do appreciate that kind of shout out.
We love it. And sometimes I've been in the back doing something and somebody's like, I don't know where Adrienne is, but she's awesome. And I'm literally in the back, getting gloved up or doing something. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Back to work.
I love it. Anything else with tipping that we need to touch upon before we get to the next part?
If you can't tip, refer, give reviews. And of course, again, check that fine print. And admin fees are not gratuity. Service fees are not gratuity 99% of the time. That is not a gratuity. So I think that could be also very, very confusing.
Very confusing. Thank you for debunking this.
And when in doubt, ask. Everyone's happy to clarify these things. And I think the more that people are asked to clarify, the better we will all get at transparency and maybe how we word things. So if I was a caterer and 20 people asked me the same question in 30 days, I should think about maybe how I'm phrasing something or how I'm presenting something to get ahead of that question.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Story time. You have a lot of great ones for your years in the business.
I got some good ones. I had my own traditional, I would say, big fat Greek wedding. Lovely family. So much fun. Ginormous bridal party. If you saw me on my first episode, I'm not a huge fan of that. Not a huge fan of ginormous bridal parties. But as far as big bridal parties go, they were pretty well behaved.
Okay. And you had 15 or 18 on each side, right?
Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't even know. The procession took its own 20 minutes, I feel like. The ceremony was at a church, and then the reception was at a very high-end hotel. And at some point during the evening, they would normally do some sort of money dance where, if you guys have seen these sort of things, not all couples do it, but this family had it planned. And the dad comes up to me and he's like, Adrienne, I have a money glitter cannon and I'm going to shoot it off from the stage during this dance. And I was like, you are not. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, the venue is going to fine you for getting glitter all over their floor. All of us in the venue game know how much we hate glitter. I still have glitter in the back end of my car from a decade ago, I feel like. I don't even know. I don't, but it's in there. So He's like, I don't care. I need you to figure this out. So I'm like, okay, here we go. So he's like, go find out how much the fine is. I said, okay. So I go to the venue and I was like, okay, this is what the dad wants to do. And the chick's like, dude, hold on. So she makes a call or two and she's like, $5,000. I'm like, okay. So I go up to dad. I say $5,000. Dad proceeds to get out $5,000 from his pocket and hand it to me. And I'm just like, oh my God.
He just has
and he's
this
like,
cash in his pocket.
hands me this big wad of cash. I felt like I was in a movie. And he's like, are we good? And I was like, yeah, I think we're good. Again, nice man, smiling the whole time he did this. This was not a negative experience in any way.
Yeah, he wasn't like mafia bullying you into doing this.
No, not at all. I mean, maybe this was his way of doing that. I don't know. But then, so I take this wad of cash and I run as fast as I can to the venue, to the hotel manager, because I don't want this money in my possession for even a second.
Right.
I'm like, so here's your money. And she's just like, huh, okay. Like we were all just like, all right. And then he let off his glitter money cannon and it did make a really big mess. And then he left at the end of the night, had a great night, had a great time.
I wonder how those photos turned out with just like money and glitter. Like,
oh, the photos were amazingly epic. And, the bride was absolutely stunning. And yeah, the photos were incredible. So, but yeah, that was always probably one of my favorite stories.
Oh my God. They probably had to replace the carpeting.
I don't even know.
To vacuum that out, like it has to be impossible.
Yeah. I didn't think 5 was enough, but that's what they wanted. So here we go.
Yeah.
But, and this was a long time ago too. So now it's probably like 10,000, but this was probably a decade ago.
All right. There's another one involving you.
Yeah, so I have a few, I got like one that makes me question why I do events, and then I have one that's just funny. Like, which one do you want?
The questioning one first. Let's end with the funny.
All right, so I was doing an event at a private residence. I was doing a wedding at a private residence in a very high-end neighborhood in Denver. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Where all the celebrities are, basically.
Celebrities, the football players live there, the CEOs, etc.
Yeah.
And couple, very chill. Family, that might be a story for another day. Some of the family, great. Other family, not so much. But bride and groom, very chill. It was drizzling slightly. And, I prefer my couples a little drizzle never killed nobody. And they were like that. I go up to like, hey guys, like, what do you want to do? And the bride's like, it's fine. In her $10,000 dress, she's like, Adrienne, it's fine. I'll get a little bit damp. Keep in mind, we have a beautiful tent right next to where the ceremony is. But she's like, no. And it was in front of this very important tree in the yard. So there was significance behind where they were getting married. And it was unbelievably well designed. It was beautiful. Florists it was crazy. Things were hanging from trees. It was stunning. All these guests start showing up. Number one, we had a few issues with the valet. They were a little delayed. The guys were hustling really hard. But, people were getting out of their cars mad. And I'm like, okay, this is how we're starting. And these are very, high-end individuals, right? And so, we're kind of greeting. We're ushering people to their seats. Also, I'm looking at this giant thunderhead. I'm like, okay, we got it. We got to hustle. We got to go. This has got to get worse. And so this one woman comes out and she's just like, she already is mad at me. She doesn't even know who I am. She's already pissed. She already hates me. She's like, so, we're doing this outside. And I said, yes, ma'am. Trying to be polite. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. I was like, please grab a seat. And she's like, she looks me dead in my eyes. She goes, good luck to you today, sweetie. And I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, okay, thanks. And she's like, just storms off and sits down. God.
Good luck to you.
Oh my God. I just was like, what am I doing? Like, I was just like, oh my God.
Was she a pain in the ass out the rest of the day?
Oh, she didn't talk to me, but she mean mugged me the whole time. I still don't know her name. What's wild is that, that community is so based on referrals. And that family thought I did an impeccable job. But normally the neighbors will hire you but nope, not a single one of those neighbors hired me because I made them sit in the rain.
Because you made them.
Yeah, but heck, it was my couple wanted to do it. I was proud to do it. It was totally worth it, but I did not get any neighbor business from that wedding.
Oh my God.
Good luck today, sweetie.
Maybe it's for the best sometimes.
Call me sweetie.
Sweetie.
The hell?
I just know you might have a guest out there, part of your family or friends. You're probably already thinking of someone that you have to invite that might be that person mean mugging your planner or your
totally
maid of honor or mom,
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, but then I've had guests give me crap, and then I've had like couples step in and be like, hey, be nice to her. She was working really hard. And I'm like, yeah, high five.
Yes. Respect.
Fuck that guy. Yeah. Fuck that guy. I love you.
Yeah.
So that's always the best if a guest sticks up for you, right? When somebody else is being a jerk to you. But one final, I guess, funny story. So anybody who knows me knows I am very klutzy. At my speaking engagements, I have fallen down.
Oh my gosh.
In front of a couple hundred people. So it's not abnormal for me to just like be thinking and doing too much and I trip and fall. So there's toast happening, which is normally the time that you want to be the most quiet. And there's in this barn, beautiful barn, and I'm kind of skirting along the back, right? Trying to sneak around to go do something. And I slip and eat shit super hard. And like you can hear the smack and the groan for sure. And so I'm laying on the ground. I'm okay. I'm laying on the ground and I'm like debating. I'm like, okay, if I get up, like it'll draw more attention to myself. So I just like stay on the ground for just like a minute. I kind of wiggle away. I crawl away.
Like roll.
Meanwhile, some guests are like, "Is she on the floor?" Like one guy's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine."
Did you
like,
really?
Crawling
You
away.
just like baby crawls?
Yeah, I
out
wiggled
the way?
away a little bit, and then I kind of get up and I walk away. And yeah, I mean, probably 50% of the room at this point was aware of what was happening.
Oh my God.
But it was, and then the videographer, a good friend of mine, and he just one day, probably like 30 days later, he sent an email and all it just said was like unedited clip. And I'm like, oh shit. So he's like focused on these toasters, right? And they're speaking. It's all very emotional. And you just hear, bam, in the background. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. And he's like, what's hilarious is like, I can only do so much with the editing if I keep this speech whole. He's like, so I think the couple's going to end up with part of that in there. I'm like, okay.
Did they react? Did they stop the speech and react to you?
No, they asked me after formalities and they were like, did you fall? I'm like, yeah. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, yes.
Oh my God.
But I think of all the falls I've had, that's probably the most embarrassing. I think I'd rather, again, fall at a speaking gig. It's just like you can kind of play it off, but it's just like, it's like the times when I literally run out of buildings when people are being too loud outside during toasts. Like I protect those things. Like I've had, the Gardner decide to drive by on his lawnmower at that time. I'm like, what are you doing? Get out of here. And then I'm the one who falls and makes a scene. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point, though, about like the noise outside and you having to be like Superwoman and get out there and be like, shut the fuck up. We kind of got out that was happening.
Oh my God. I had one a few weeks ago at like a city pavilion and this guy was he needed to put away a cart. He was a tuk-tuk driver and things were being stored there. And like the couple is toasting no, it was during the ceremony. Oh my God. So yeah, and I just hear this banging and this crashing. And like me and the caterers like haul butt like to the back of the venue. And I was just like, and he was looking at me like while he was moving stuff and intentionally being loud. And I'm like, stop. And then he just like does it again. And I'm like, fucking stop. And like the caterer runs out and he's just like, all your guys' shit's in my way. And I'm like, they've rented this facility. And so, but anyways, I tell him to get the fuck out of here. And he does. And he leaves. And of course, I did complain about him to his manager because I was like, what the hell? But like, and then afterwards, the brides, they come up to me and they're just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I did everything I could. And they're like, dude, we saw you run. I was like, yeah, we all took off. They're like, go get him.
But like the audacity of some people, I just don't understand.
Again, there's always got to be somebody out there that just like does those sort of things. And you don't, life's too short to question why. Just move around it and move on to the next part of the day. And, and some people are like, well, that was eventful.
So I guess it is a key point for this, right? Like you might have rain on the wedding day. You might have some shitty, salty guests that you have to invite. You might run into noise issues or, things like that. You have to figure out a way to roll with the punches.
And I guess that goes into like kind of wrapping up the question about like tipping and things like that. Like, and I did run to like stop that guy and I got tipped that day. So I would say, the family really appreciated that hustle. But again, like to your point that there's so many people involved in a wedding. There's so many vendors. There's so many guests. There's so many things. So to think that everything is going to be the most perfect thing that you've ever seen is unrealistic. And it actually can add a lot of stress, in my opinion. So I think if you just understand that everybody that's in that building is a human being and having a level of understanding of that and also, but just being happy about it, that maybe you'll walk away with a fun story.
Yeah. I'm sure there's so many more that we could do, but we have to start wrapping. But you had to come back and we'll do like a whole story time episode.
Yeah. I'll brainstorm.
Okay.
Because I'm getting older. I have to write lists of like memories. My daughter's been asking me to tell her more stories about my life, which is so sweet. But I'm like, wait, hold on. I need a minute.
You should, though. That's important. Or you could do video ones now, too.
Video is great. Yeah, there you go.
So I have to know, and I love so much how you're just so honest, unapologetic when you don't have to apologize. All the hot takes, and I have to know what's in your 2026 fuck it bucket.
Giving too many shits.
Ah.
So I did the large bridal party last time, and I would say giving too many shits about mainly other people's opinions on what you should be doing. And of course, that can be translated to every stage of your life, but especially when it comes to your wedding.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't like my referral list, okay. If you don't like this, okay. But also give yourself the time and the space, like, to know what you want. I think sometimes decisions are so rushed that you don't take the time to process and know what you want. So I would say, like, giving zero shits about what people think about, if you want to thank your vendors in your speech, just know that, your aunt might not like it, but don't care what she thinks. Because she's just going to write you a weird Christmas card. So who cares?
Adrienne had that happen with a family member.
I did. So there's a personal story there that my uncle writes awkward Christmas cards. So,
and good news, he got cataracts this year.
He got cataracts, and it's been a little cold. So,
all right. So, final question. We didn't get to it last time because we had all this other great stories and advice with the venues. But what is your all-time favorite wedding in a movie or TV show?
All right. I had to brainstorm this. I went cheesy. I went with David and Patrick, Schitt's Creek.
I love it.
I think the whole lead up of their relationship probably led to why I love that so much. The singing of the Tina Turner songs, like all that led to that moment, I feel like was just so great.
So good.
And I also just really love that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went cheesy, and that's my pick.
I love it. It is one of the best ones. It's so funny how he's like, "You're wearing white." You're like, "It's like you're my bride." With Alexis wearing the white dress.
It's so great. Yeah. I mean, again, it's such a wonderful show.
Yeah.
It had such a great way of balancing the comedy with the sincerity that I just feel like is very rare and not really replicated. So
1,000%. That's such a great one to end this on. How can we get more information on you and your company?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for having me on. You can find me on Instagram at Gardner Effect, online, gardnereffect.com. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yay! Well, can't wait to have you back soon. Good to see you, Adrienne.
Thanks, Leah.